first inning. Pete Schurik facing Garrett Anderson. 2 on, 2 out. Anderson deep to right center, and that one is not catchable. Anderson's first of the year, 3-0 Angels. Top of the fourth. Runner at third. Nomar Garciaparra hitting 167 on the year, and this is not going to help. He pops it to short, fails to get in the run. Nomar 0 for 4 on the night. Bottom of the sixth, still 3-0 runners at the corner. Gary DeSarcina, 1-2 deep left center, and that's enough to bring home 2 runs. The Red Sox go up 5-0. They go on to win this one comfortably. The final there, 7-3. The Angels win this out. Bottom of the first, no score when A-Rod goes the opposite way off Andy Pettitte, his second of the year. Derek Jeter can't believe it. 1-0 Mariners. Top of the third, now 2-0 Mariners when Jeter launches the John Halama pitch to center, 2-run shot, and A-Rod watches his buddy, and he's kind of impressed with Jeter's power as well. We're tied at 2. Top of the eighth, 6-3 Mariners. Jeter, another rocket to center. Watch Mike Cameron. Back to the wall, over the wall, and makes one of the best catches you're ever going to see. Take another look at it. Cameron with the full extension, and hey, who needs Griffey out in center field? Cameron winning a bunch of new fans in this one. The interesting thing in this game was top of the ninth inning, 7-3 Mariners, when Shane Spencer cranks this one to left. This homer sets the major league record for home runs in one day, 56 on the day. By the way, the Mariners hang on to win at 7. And Dryford, he takes it deep to right. Deep enough? Not quite. Goes off the wall. John Nunnally. Do I stay or do I go? He stops and goes. Mets up 1-0. Top of the fourth. 2-0. Gary Sheffield at the plate. Gary Sheffield out of here. Crushes Reed's pitch to left. Solo shot, number 2 of the year. That cuts the Mets lead to 2-1. Now let's go to the top of the ninth. Still 2-1 Mets. Tying run on first. 2 outs. Todd Hundley, the little grounder down the first baseline. Todd Zeile keeps it in fair territory, and that's the out. Benitez, his second save of the season. Good outing, though, for Rick Reed. He helped the Dodgers to 4 hits, 1 run over 7 2/3. Dryford gets the loss. He walked 8 and hit a batter in 5 innings, but didn't allow a run after the first. By the way, Dodgers sent Carlos Perez down to AAA Albuquerque after his shaky performance on Thursday night. Giants and the Braves. Barry Bonds in action. Top of the first, no score, 1 on. Terry Mulholland on the mound, and Barry Bonds out of here. Over the center field wall, just over Andrew Jones. 2-0 Giants, number 2 for Bonds. But wait, there's more. Top of the fourth, 3-1 Giants when Jeff Kent leads off the inning. He takes Mulholland deep. 4-1 Giants, number 2 for Kent. Bottom of the fifth, Atlanta down to 5, but threatening. Runners on first and second for Chipper, but Chipper with the grounder. Mark Gardner gets him to hit into the double play. 7 innings for Gardner, 10 hits, 2 runs, 4 strikeouts.
Gwynn says it'll always be a special place to him. One of literally dozens of people to speak so highly of the Big O. Alas, it wasn't to be. Gwynn took a few swings at BP, but couldn't extend his arm fully. Ryan Klesko with full extension here off Jeremy Powell, and whoa-wah. Klesko's first of the year, 7-zip Padres. It was 8-zip. Lee Stevens with the shot. Rondell White going to try to score. Eric Owens with the gun, and the nice tag by Wiki Gonzalez. Wiki getting it done. The Padres win at 10-5. They have won 3 straight.
In action, bottom of the second, Cal Ripken at bat. Albert Barrel on first, and watch Cal Ripken go deep. Off Dave Malecki, his 2,994th career hit puts the O's up 2-0. Bottom of the fifth, O's down 7-6. Albert Bell at bat, and Malecki hits Bell on the elbow. Take another look. Clearly hits him, but umpire Jim McEwen does not give him the base, saying Bell didn't try to get out of the way. So he says, let's get this out of the way. Reps the double to left. Bobby Higginson falls. Surhoff scores from first. O's tie it at 7. Still in the same inning. Runners on the corners for Charles Johnson, and Johnson says, let's bring them all home. 3-run home run to left center. His 4th of the season gives the O's a 10-7 lead. Next batter, Mike Bordick. Bordick says, I can do the same thing that Charles Johnson can do. Out to left, Johnson, Bordick back-to-back for the second straight night. as the O's win this one. So what about that saying about pitchers being ahead of the hitters this time of the year? 9 E-Rays home season. And there's Wade Boggs with his frame number 12. 2 children unveiling a permanent shrine to Boggs in right field. Let's go to the game now. Second inning, Indians explode. Bases loaded for Omar Vizquel. Taking Juan Guzman on a free ride. Grand slam, tried up 7-1. Still in the second, Jim Thome at the plate. Now watch this. Thome, golf shot out to center. Gerald Williams says, I got it. And then I don't see it. And then it's way over here. It hits the catwalk. The umpires say it's a home run. Tribe leading 8-1, and they cruise in this one. For Vizquel, his 4th career grand slam. The Indians do the major damage in the 9-run second inning. By the way, Juan Guzman feeling tightness in his right shoulder after his 1 2/3 innings of work. Team says he will go on the 15-day DL.
Baylor. It's Sammy top first, and wham, bam, thank you, Sam. 448 feet later, Sosa has his first homer of the year. It's 2-zip Cubs. Andrew Lorraine throwing the air ball to Junior as Griffey's slump deepens. Top 6, 8-2 Cubs. Mark Grace, the graceful one, showing some power this year. His second bomb of the young season. It's 10-2. Chicago taking the lead. We go to the bottom of the 9th. Bases bloated. Junior up again, and for just the second time this year, he gets one out of the infield. He picks up his first RBI in the sac fly. Junior says big whip. The Cubs win at 10-6. They snap a 4-game losing streak. Junior now batting .055, and after grounding out in the 4th at bat, there were scattered boos from his hometown crowd. His honeymoon going about as well as Rick and Darva's. The Reds acquired pitcher Manny Ibar from the Rockies for pitcher Gabe White. Brewers and Cards in St. Louis. Here's our other slugger, Mark McGwire, just his 2nd game of the season, and Jason Beret shaves him outside corner. McGwire 0 for 2, 2 strikeouts and 2 walks. Andy Bennis to Marquise Grissom. Marquise doesn't get down the line as quick as he used to, but great play by Edgar Renneria to gun him down. Top 4, Brewers up 1-zip. Jeremy Burnitz, oh, he just crushed that baseball off the facade. His 3rd of the season, 2-zip Brewers. Top 8, 2 out, bases loaded for Ron Belliard. The shot, Jim Edmonds, kicks, save, and a beauty. Ollie income free, 2 runs come across. The Brewers go on to win this one 9-1. Jason Beret struck out 8 in 6 innings to get the win. Beret's now won 8 straight decisions. The Cards' first loss after 3 wins. They made their first 2 errors of the season.
Regular season game at Enron Field. Home plate umpire Jerry Davis going through the new ground rules, including the flagpole and the slope in center field, all in play. Top of the 1st, Octavio Dotel pitches. Doug Glanville hits. First regular season hit at Enron. Greg Biggio gets the first Astro hit in the bottom of the inning. Bottom of the 7th, fills up 2-0. Richard Hidalgo, the shot to left field, and this is a home run. The first Astro to hit a home run at Enron. The gas pump lights up, and the train leaves the station. Story of my life, David. Top of the 8th, man on first, Ron Gant takes Doug Henry for a ride on the train. Gant's first home run. Phillies win this one 4-1. So Philly ruins the opening of the Astros' new field in the first outdoor regular season
debut. Reds and Cubs to Cincinnati. And first we start with this man, Ken Griffey Jr. in the 1st inning. With a man on 3rd, and Griffey, a little poke on this, going through, base hit. Pokey Reese would score. Griffey 1 for 4 on the day. But the other way, Rob Bell versus Sammy Sosa with him loaded. And a 3-1 lead. He struck him out. Bell, 7 innings, 1 earned run, 9 Ks. Sammy was 0 for 5. He struck out 3 times. Dante Bichette, 3 for 5 in this game. In the bottom of the 6th, that's a home run on Kevin Tapani. 2nd of the year for Bichette. Going extra innings now. Bottom of the 11th. Alex Ochoa on 3rd. Pokey Reese is your batter. Pokey Reese rips that through Jeff Houston. Gamer. Reese 2 for 6. Reds take it in 11. Griffey update 2 for 22. 3 balls hit out of the infield. Bell with the stellar debut retired the last 16 batters he faced. Said Pokey Reese, he didn't seem like he was afraid. I guess that's his New York mentality. A Bell from New York, but not the Bronx. He's from upstate bucolic Marlboro, New York, where he was a teammate of Royals top prospect D. Brown. Phillies and Astros now with more baseball. Dwight Gooden, now 35 years old. in there against Doug Glanville. Glanville rips this deep and rips it out. First of the year for Glanville, 1-0 Phillies on top. Bottom of the fifth we go. Tied at 4. Bases are loaded with Astros. Moises Alou back from that knee injury. Get this deal from Chris Brock. Alou rips that into there, do some damage. 1 run will score. 2 runs will score. Thank you. Greg Vizio, Roger Cedeno, you've been watching. And Alou 2 for 4, 3 RBIs. Astros take this and get their first win at Enron. Doc Gooden, 15 years removed from his Cy Young season, goes 4, allows 4 runs. Billy Wagner in top form worked a perfect 9th inning.
Bottom of the second, Brew Crew up 3-2. Fernando Vina, former Brewer, drills one to right off Steve Woodard. Mike Matheny is going to come around to score, and Fernando Vina has 3 bags on his mind. Here comes the throw, and Fernando is in there. He had 2 triples on the day. Game tied at 3. Top of the third, Cards up 4-3. Jeremy Burnett's up Darryl Kyle. Contact to straightaway center. Game tied at 4. He had 2 on the day. Bottom of the 6th, speaking of homers, Big Mac's going to right this season. His first of the year, 523 on his career. St. Louis up 7-4, and they hang on to win 10-8. Closer Dave Veer struck out 4 of the 5 batters he faced. All right, we told you that was home run number 523. Ibanez, Orlando Hernandez, thinking about a 1-1 pitch. He's still thinking about it. Dribbled softly down the right first baseline. Stan Javier will score as Orlando can't come through with it. Mariners up 2-1. Ibanez awarded a hit. 7th inning, Alfonso Siriano filling in for Scott Brocious, and filling in quite well, we might add. He takes Frankie Rodriguez deep, a solo shot tied at 2. Soriano has 2 major league hits. Both are home runs. That's making the most of your opportunities. 2 out in the 9th. Paul O'Neill facing Joe Table. Mesa's 3-2 pitch driven to the gap. Jeter comes around to score the winning run. O'Neill improves to 7 for 7 all-time against Jose Mesa. We did the odds. That's pretty good. Yankees win at 3-2. Top of the first, no score. That's Raul Mondesi menacing off first base. Carlos Delgado. Turns on that one. Smokes it down the right field line. Mondesi comes in to score on the Delgado RBI double, his first RBI of the year. Jays up 1-0. Bottom of the third, 2-0 Toronto. David Wells in control. Of course, Clayton tries to bunt. Wells says, "You've got to be kidding me." But gets him at first. Bottom of the 8th, 2 on, 2 out. Ruben Mateo, go away. David Wells, 5 Ks. Bottom 9, still 4-0, 2 outs. Tom Evans, sacrificial lamb for the final out. Wells, a complete game shutout on just 89 pitches. Old-time pitching like Burley Grimes. As the Jays win at 4-0, it's the first 9-inning complete game of the year. He only gave up 5 hits, 1 walk. Kenny Rogers' 19-home game winning streak comes to an end. Oh, also, the Angels leading the Red Sox 2-1 in the 6th. Mo Vaughn an RBI single. Neither were around for the decision, but we thought that was cool. Bottom 9, tied at 5, bases loaded, 1 out. Steve Finley, oh, he pops to second off Jason Christensen. 2 outs, bases loaded. Next batter, Bernard Gilkey. Don't forget where you parked, people. Gilkey drives a single to right. Henley Frias comes in to score, and the D-backs win at 6-5 on Bernard's first hit of the season, the pride of University City, Missouri. Second time in 3 days, Arizona's won in their last 5th inning. Giants up 3-2. That's an 0-2 count to Chipper Jones. They say he checked his swing. Take another look. We're not so sure. By the way, this 5th inning also included a Greg Maddux triple. Talk about excitement. So that loaded the bases for Andres Galarraga, and he has on his resume base unloader. The salami, his 10th career grand slam. Livan Hernandez still talking about that check swing by Chipper Jones. As the Braves win this one 7-5. So in the 3 games the Braves have won this week, that in a minute. Bottom of the first, the injury bug hits L.A. John Nunnally flies to left. Gary Sheffield tracking it, losing it in the sun, and then as he falls at the track, he twists his ankle. Nunnally would end up with a double. Sheffield left the game in the next half inning. All right, here's what we're talking about with Brown in the 5th. He's looking for a drag bunt. It looks like it ticks off his bat and his hand, but take another look. The ball gets all hand. Brown had the hand checked and then did return. He's a tough guy. In fact, in the bottom of the 5th, Kevin back on the mound, facing Jay Payton. Gets him to hit the comebacker. However, x-rays later taken revealed a broken right pinky. Kevin Brown out 3 to 4 weeks because he tried to drag bunt. Top of the ninth, 5-1 Mets. Should be an easy closing for John Franco. Scratch that thought. Leadoff batter Eric Karros, solo home run to left. This second of the season, 5-2 Mets. It's still 5-2 Mets. 2 on for Devo White, and that's going to leave a mark way out to right for a 3-run homer. His second of the season, ties it at 5. Davey Johnson is pleased. They finally bring Armando Benitez in, and it just doesn't matter. In the upright and locked position is Eric Karros. I think that hit off his face on the scoreboard. Second of the game, Dodgers win at 6-5. This, by the way, the first time since 1946 that the Dodgers won a road game in which they trailed by 4 or more runs in the 9th inning. Up 2-0. Greg Vaughn says, that's not coming back. We're talking way out to left center, his second of the year, 462 feet, third longest in D-Ray's history. Top 5, Indians on top 3-1. Manny Ramirez, contact, his first of the season, make it 5-1 try. Next batter, Jim Thome. Only one person in the history of Tropicana Field has hit a ball on the top of a restaurant. Scratch it. We now have a second. Thome, thunderstorm. 6-1 now, the Tribe up on top. Bottom of the 7th, Paul Shuey facing Fred McGriff with 2 on, and Shuey gets McGriff looking. Indians go on to win at 6-4. By the way, the homers for Thome and Manny, both the
Nose and Juan Gone coming on with the bases loaded, facing Mike Messina. And not working out. There we go. Bordick starts at 6-4-3, double play. The injured star off the pine, and it's still a 1-0 Tiger lead. Bottom of the 8th now. Got a good duel here. O still down 1-0. Bordick is on second. B.J. Surhoff rips that base hit. Bordick chugging around. He's going to score. Surhoff 1 for 4, but that's a big one. We're tied at 1 going to extra innings. Bottom of the 10th, Delano to Shields. With Bordick again on second base. Shortstop out there again. Second baseman. He'll be bringing him in. Bloops this into left field. Bordick running hard all the way. And in he goes. Mike Bordick running hard, 2 for 4. Hitting for power in the first week. And the number 9 hitter in the Oriole lineup is now hitting .389. Not bad for a 34-year-old.